All right, back with more records. If there was a lot of Cheap Trick in the collection earlier, then get ready because there's a whole lot of Elton John in this collection. It's definitely the biggest portion of my dad's collection was Elton John. So, once again, I'm going to go very quickly. If you're a big Elton fan, you'll know a lot of these records. A lot of the earlier ones. These are all in pretty bad condition. So, like this one in particular, the sleeve for Friends is just falling apart. The records are all just very, very well played. A lot of scratches, a lot of dirt and dust. So I'm going to be going through these quickly because there are so many. So, there's classics. Madman on the Water is one of his most well regarded. I know that one's getting tons of repressings these days. This is a really cool sort of, this piece right here slides in and then it unfolds into a gatefold. I think it's like a trifold or something is what it's called. This is the only one I have, but it's a cool little piece right there. Don't shoot me. I'm only the piano player. This is one that I like because my namesake is one of the tracks on here. I know it's not one of my dad's favorites, so sucks for me. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, another classic. I actually have the records here. You can see my dad wrote his name on a lot of these, which is kind of funny. I make sure you keep them intact. This is in the worst condition by far. It's his greatest hits. The sleeve is literally just not intact. It's two distinct pieces. And the record is in horrible condition. So it's not something I could realistically listen to, but he obviously did. And then this is where you'll start to see that there's some duplicates. So a lot of these were in such rough shape that I imagine he wanted to grab another copy to continue being able to play. So here's an example. This one is just beat to crap. This one is even still in the original shrink wrap. So it's virtually every one he has at this point. So Blue Moves. This one in particular, one of his copies has so it looks like an angry X or something went through it and carved into one of the records with a knife or something. Just tough to look at. Greatest Hits Volume 2 in slightly better condition than the first one, but I do say slightly. And then we're sort of starting to come up on the end here. Finally. So here's a lot of Elton John. And I've actually been able to see Elton John live with him. It was a fun experience. So I know there's a lot of repressings of his more popular works. So at some point, maybe I'd like to get a deluxe edition of one of these. But even with the ones that are in non-playable condition, so many of these are at least slightly playable. And I've listened to a couple of them. So I went through, cleaned them all the best I could. And sometimes I'll throw them on, particularly some of the ones in better condition, which are the newer ones, which are not his favorites. That's Elton. We're gonna keep moving on off the shelf now. Fleetwood Mac Rumors. This is in tough condition. He obviously played the hell out of this record. The sleeve is real busted. I've listened to this one a couple times, but it's got some real bad pops and ticks and scratches. So this is his copy of Tusk. This is a big 2LP. The sleeve is just in pieces. The records are in bad condition, but very slightly playable. But that's still a cool one to have. Floyd Kramer. So I've actually never listened to this, the collector's series for Floyd Kramer. So I'll have to give that a listen because it looks cool. But again, that was one of the ones that I got very, very recently. So I haven't had a ton of time to go through those. His set of Foreigner records. This is, I believe, self-titled. He's quite a few Foreigner records. I like Foreigner, but I never really got into them. So Double Vision. I think he has a pretty solid run here too. For this time period of Foreigner, he has most of them. So this one I've listened to, I think, Head Games. So I threw that one on the record player when I got his collection of Foreigner 4. I think that's it for. No, there's one more, right? Yeah. Agent Provocateur. And now we're on to Genesis. So this is one of my favorite bands. And so some of these are my dad's, some of these are mine. This one is mine. I picked up this one at Waterloo Records in Austin. it's pretty beat up, but it's the first live performance that was like mainstream available from Genesis. And during the oh my god, I can't speak. The early Peter Gabriel days, the live shows were something to be witnessed. So, especially with how expensive the early era vinyl records are from Genesis, like anything pre-Foxtrot, like getting this for so cheap, I think this was like $6 was real nice because it has some of the better singles off those records without being exorbitantly expensive. Selling England by the Pound. This is like one of their classic records that everybody points to from the sort of Peter Gabriel era. So this was like their most successful, I want to say, from the Peter Gabriel era. It's certainly up there with my favorites from his era. And then we have Seconds Out. So I picked this up in Denton, Texas, at a local place. I want to say it was called like Books and More, but they actually had a huge amount of records. So they had some cool Genesis stuff. It's not in the greatest condition, but it says $15 here. I want to say it was like $12 after some sort of sale, but this is a lot of good tracks on it. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Fifth of a Fifth, Carpet Crawlers, Afterglow, Cinema Show, listen to those, like, really cool record. And it was in a listenable condition for relatively cheap, so I wanted to pick it up. I love the live performances. And then there were three. Steve Hackett, I believe, left prior to this record, so it was just... pull this up in here in the center. It's just Collins, Rutherford, and Banks from here on out. And this is definitely like delving into some of their more poppy stuff, which I really enjoy actually. I think a lot of fans who want to be cool like hate on the later Collins era of Genesis, but man, some songs on there are good. Duke, this is sort of I think this is the follow-up to, and then there were three. I want to say like Seconds Out was after that, and then Duke. But I also found this at the same place. It's a little cheaper than $18. The condition on this one is pretty rough, but it's still close enough. I have the record sort of in the gatefold for whatever reason. I think it was, I don't know. It's in the gatefold, but it's not in great condition. Let me see if I can slide it into the actual. Yeah, that's fine. I must have just missed. I'm like, wow, that went in really easily. But I've given this a listen. It also is a little bit tough. It doesn't sound the greatest. But when I was out at Records and More, or Books and More in Denton, I saw they had some Genesis stuff. Like, hey man, sign me up. Abacab. This is one of my dad's. So this is not in great condition, but I love this record. I'm one of the few Dodo Lurker fans out there, but this is in really bad condition. You can see the bottom just splitting out. It is tough to keep some of these records my dad had in like a presentable condition. They had a lot of copies of like this exact variant at the store, and maybe I should have picked one up, but the sleeves are a lot nicer. The discs are similarly played, so I passed. Three Sides Live. Another live record from Genesis from this sort of era. Oh, try not to let the sleeves fall off completely. But I really like this one. I played this a couple times. This is one from my dad's collection. It's in pretty good condition, all things considered. So another one from my dad's collection, self-titled. Love this record. Some classics on here, like the whole first half, minus Illegal Alien, are all just bangers. All right, and now we're leaving. We're going to George Gershwin. So I've heard of George Gershwin, obviously, but I have not given this record a play. It is still in like the original shrink wrap. It was $3.98 apparently on sale. So I want to give this record a listen to because I've heard good things about it, but I haven't gotten around to it quite yet. All right, I think this is the last of the ones that I picked up at Books and More. But I like the little notes on it with like whatever the hit single was. It's like, oh wow, this has Right Down the Line on it. But I love this record. This is a fun record to listen to. City to City by Gary Rafferty. Again, Right Down the Line is the most popular song off this, but there's a lot of good tracks on here as well that I enjoy. So I was listening to this record a lot when I went to go see when I went to visit in Denton and went to the store. So when I saw it there, I decided to pick it up. Hippocampus. This is Landmark. This is their best album. I will not argue about that. This is a gatefold, but one LP just on black. This is their best album. I got so into this album over the last year. So into Hippocampus in general. I started listening to them I started listening to Bambi. This record, I have the hype sticker on here. I'm going to move that. But I started listening to Bambi. I was like, this is a good record. I like this. But let me give some of their other records a try. And Bambi's grown on me a lot. All songs but Bubbles. This is one I have sort of light blue European pressing. It's really sick. But yeah, so I got really into Hippocampus. I got to see them live. I don't have LP3 or any other EPs or anything. You can find them pretty often, like my local record store has them, but they're all new condition and they're all like $25, so I passed on them. I think most of the good material I want to listen to from them is either off Bambi or off Landmark. LP3 has some good tunes on it, and I'll probably pick up a pressing at some point of that record. I would love to get the demos, but the demos 1 and 2 from Bambi are so expensive on vinyl, so. Jethro Tull, Aqualung. I found this in real beat up condition at my local record store. I think I paid $12 for it. Maybe it was a mistake. The record was very dusty, and so I attributed some scratches to dust that I should have attributed to scratches, so I was probably better off waiting to find a nicer copy of Aqualung by Jethro Tull, but this is just such a classic record that when I saw it in sort of the used bargain bin, I was like, alright. If nothing else, I have Aqualung on my shelf. Jimi Hendrix and the Experience. Are you experienced? I got this at a Best Buy, like in 2017, I want to say, maybe 2018. Either right before I went off to college or shortly after I did. This is like one of those 180 gram audiophile repressings that is like really relatively accessible. And the sort of thought process was, man, I want to listen to more Jimi Hendrix, and so I got this. I still need to listen to more Jimi Hendrix. I love this record. I love Jimi Hendrix stuff, but I don't listen to him a ton, and I need to fix that. Josh Pan and Dylan Brady, This Car Needs Some Wheels. This is on Owsla Records, the record label that Skrillex runs. When I saw this thing, I was like, this looks really weird. I didn't know what to think of it. It looked kind of boring and dull. But I gave it a listen, and I really love this record. This is one of the records that I have played the most out of my collection here, unironically. I listen to this thing a lot. Josh Pan's vocals are fantastic on this thing. Dylan Brady shows a very sort of unique side of his production. It's very like organic and instrumentational and sort of indie rock, a little bit of almost country vibes on some of these songs. But Dylan Brady is more commonly known for 100 gecs, but man, I've never been a 100 gecs fan. Even though I like a lot of interesting sort of electronic fused hip hop music and stuff like that, never been into 100 gecs, but this record proves that, you know, if nothing else, dude's a damn talented producer. Justice Cross. I got this along with the Chief Keef record. This is such a good record. This is like electro house, and it's like it was like a real revolution for this sort of heavy-hitting dance electronic music, and this is such a good record. This sounds phenomenal. The color of the pressing is a little bit darker than I would like, but it matches pretty closely with the art. I'm not gonna pull it out because this sleeve that Vinyl Me Please includes is nice enough, but it's a bit of a pain. I'll probably re-sleeve this at some point with my gatefold sleeves because this thing doesn't feel the most high quality. I feel like it might like degrade a little bit, but who knows. But that's a great album. Casbo, The Places. Oh my god, what is the name of this thing? The Places We Don't Know. So Casbo, Places We Don't Know. I love Casbo. Casbo's a sort of poppy, happy dance trap sort of producer out of Sweden, and man, this record is good. I love a lot of his work. I've followed it for a long time, and so when he put this thing out, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab it. This is one of the earlier records I bought. It's not in great condition, but it is a thick pressing, and it sounds good. And I've listened to it quite a few times, and love Casbo. Big fan. I haven't followed him super closely in a while, but I got to see him live once, and it was crazy cool. You know, we got drinks with people afterwards. Really cool guy. Puts on a hell of a show for a dance music artist. Damn. This is my only Kendrick Lamar record, which is frustrating. My brother has a couple, and I always have talked myself out of getting more because he has them, but I need to just bite the bullet. I need to buy Untitled Unmastered, Good Kid, Mad City. I need to buy T-Pab, obviously. Maybe you've been Section 80. I don't know how hard it is. I never see a Section 80 copy anywhere, but this is when I got signed by Kendrick. It is definitely the worst of all my signed records. It's just a K, but that's how he signs things. And if that's what Kendrick decides to give you, you shut up and you take it. So this is probably my least favorite record from him. I have his new record, Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, pre-ordered, so that's coming in at some point. But I had to get this record regardless if it was my favorite or not. I think it didn't age as well for me. I don't find myself wanting to go back and listen to this as much, but it is still a damn good record. Kids See Ghosts. This is just the cheapo black copy, very, very thin record. Got it on sale, I think off Amazon, like a few months after this album came out. This is a great album though. I know they do a lot of repressings, nicer, thicker repressings, some colored repressings, but this is the one I have, and it's just a cool record to have. It's my only Kanye and my only Cudi. My brother has some. He's more like, he has a couple records. I want to say he has like half a dozen to a dozen, somewhere in that range. And it's all just contemporary, modern hip hop, trap, and a lot of Kanye. But yeah, I would like to get some more Cudi, some more Kanye, but they're very popular records and they get repressed for a lot of money. So getting even represses of those are expensive as hell. So Natty and Good Faith. This is the first pressing of Good Faith. I really need to figure out exactly what I want to do with this record. I think the inner sleeve is like sleeved normally, or it's sleeved with like a gatefold sleeve, yeah. But then I have the little protective cover that came with it, so this thing slides off, but it's an absolute pain, so I don't really know if I want to, well, here we go. So yeah, cool translucent cover, wild internal gatefold. I do have it in my gatefold sleeves. I do have it in it's just a clear record pressing. But this is a good record. He did a repressing for like the anniversary of Adventure, and I wasn't able to get it, and I'm pissed off about that, and I want to get it at some point. So he said at some point there will be a repress, but I'm still holding my breath for that. And that just about does it for this portion. There's one more portion of the collection, and then I'll do my soundtracks and box sets and everything last. So thank you for watching.